Under a Covered Sky. Written by Lawrence Simpson. Narrated by Sam Rosenthal. While the world picks at imperfection, the universe whispers of miracles to those who listen with a willing heart. Excerpt from the Reverend Father Francisco Romero's first homily on becoming pastor of our Blessed Mother Church. Chapter 1. Zeke Adams shook the ocean water from his blond hair and carried his carbon fiber surfboard under his right arm as he walked in from the tide line. He'd grown up in California and couldn't remember not surfing. He still enjoyed the early morning swells. Strong of limb, well-proportioned, and brimming with the fullness of youth, quiet mornings in the ocean served as his church. If there was a deity, he felt closer here than anywhere else. And just like this morning, his concerns disappeared in the push and pull of the waves. He looked at the ocean again before starting the walk up the beach toward his used Subaru hatchback, which he had parked along Pacific Coast Highway. Palm trees fluttered in the breeze by the road, and he could just see the hills beyond. Other than a few surfers and one or two beachcombers, it was quiet this early on a Sunday. He loved living near the ocean and promised himself again that he always would. He thought of his parents and their most recent argument. Splitsville for sure. He was surprised they lasted as long as they did. Almost all of his friends' parents were divorced. He shrugged his shoulders. He was almost out on his own, but his sister was only 14. Danielle was still wrapped up in herself, and she would take it hard. He didn't know what to do about that. A thrumming noise along the road caught his attention. Sheets of birds sprang from the trees and took flight. There were cormorants, willets, herons, pelicans, and more, well, all of them, and just as he realized something had spooked them, he felt the sand shift beneath his feet. The hills convulsed in a dust cloud beyond the trees, and the morning sunlight shimmered against unwilling concrete, stucco, glass, adobe, and clay-tiled houses vying for prominence in the rapidly growing roller coaster that was once stable ground. Zeke was no stranger to earthquakes, and like most Californians, he imagined himself an expert. But this was beyond anything he had ever experienced. Bitter fear clung to the back of his throat, making it hard for him to swallow. He dropped his board, but it still anchored him to a spot in the sand by his ankle strap. At least, that's what he told himself. He would never admit he was too frightened to move, not in the moments to come. He saw the dust wave move toward him, and he dropped to his hands and knees with his head down. The bone bead necklace around his neck nearly touched the shifting sand. The initial cloud passed over him, and he picked up his board thinking maybe he should retreat to the safety of the waves. He stumbled back and back while looking at the chaos ahead of him. Surely it would end soon. Please, let it end soon. He tried not to think of the people beyond the hills and the streets and houses. Oh, dear God, Danny. She was probably sleeping in her bed when it started. His insides churned at that thought, and adrenaline quivered his muscles in his mushy disbelief. He moved in slow motion as the shore under his feet seethed to quicksand. The hills gnashed and groaned as house after house surrendered and crashed in a domino dance along the highway, easing away to the intermittent collapse of leaning partitions punctuated by random screams smothered to silence. Even as Zeke choked back tears of relief that it might be finished, vibrations churned through his feet and ankles in the damp sand, and he realized he wasn't standing in salt water. He looked over his shoulder, and the fishing pier undulated like a sea snake trying to make it back into the surf, which had receded beyond the outlying sandbar farther than he had ever seen at low tide. The shuddering at his feet traveled through his backbone to his skull, and banged the ossicles in his ears like the drums of something soon to claim vengeance. Zeke squinted through smoke and haze.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?